The thing is, the power of stories and storytelling. It can take you being lost in a story. You can get really lost in a story. It's the power of these damn things. They get inside you. They can take you over. You can take people over with a story. You can get them where you want them to. You can take them anywhere, whether they like it or not.
If we think about why we're storytelling animals, it's a no-brainer to ask why we tell one another true stories about who's doing what to whom in a group, or what kind of animal you've just tracked and killed, or in what direction, say. But why should we make up stories that we know and our listeners know are untrue? Why should we do that again and again? And I think the answer has to go back to animal play. I see the arts in general and storytelling in particular as extensions of animal play. Play helps animals refine key behaviour that they can try out in relatively safe circumstances before they try it out in the wild. Because it's of advantage to do this, to try these things out in safe circumstances, over time, evolution has selected to make it more and more pleasurable, more and more compulsive, and I think that's what storytelling is like for us. It's compulsive. To answer the kinds of questions that I was asking, I really needed to go to all sorts of different branches of psychology. I had to think about biology, evolutionary theory, anthropology, especially evolutionary anthropology, economics even. There wasn't much that I didn't touch on that connects with humans. One of the things that has annoyed me, I must say, over the last 20 or 30 or 40 years is the emphasis in the humanities on cultural difference. The sense that we're all in culturally enclosed boxes. And I think that's a very unproductive notion and a wrong notion, and I want us to see what's common across the species, across cultures, across times, what links one person to another, and that depends very powerfully on evolution. Evolution has shaped us as ultra-social beings. Our way of seeing things, our way of hearing things, our way of understanding things, our emotions, all these have been shaped by millions of years of evolution. And unless we understand that deep past, we don't really understand what makes us. And I hope that we'll have more ways of linking the sciences and the humanities, realising that knowledge really is pretty seamless.
No grades at stake, gentlemen. Just take a stroll. There it is. I don't is cold. Left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, left. Halt! Thank you, gentlemen. If you notice, everyone started off with their own stride, their own pace. Mr. Pitts, taking his time. He knew he'll get there one day. Mr. Cameron, you can see him thinking, is this right? It might be right, it might be right. I know that. Maybe not, I don't know. Mr. Overstreet, driven by a deeper force. Yes. We know that, all right. Now, I didn't bring them up here to ridicule them. I brought them up here to illustrate the point of conformity, the difficulty in maintaining your own beliefs in the face of others. Now, those of you, I see the look in your eyes like,
I would have walked differently. Well, ask yourselves why you were clapping.
and we all have a great need for acceptance. But you must trust that your beliefs are unique, your own, even though others may think them odd or unpopular, even though the herd may go, that's bad. Robert Frost said, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. I want you to find your own walk right now, your own way of striding, pacing, any direction, anything you want, whether it's proud, whether it's silly, anything. Gentlemen, the courtyard is yours. You don't have to perform, just make it for yourself. Mr. Dalton, you'll be joining us.
Exercising the right not to walk.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Just illustrated the point. Swim against the stream.
So what is empathy?
And why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, you climb down. I know what it's like down here. And you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no. You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with "at least." Yeah. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
It's easy to put people in boxes. There's us, and there's them. The high earners, and those just getting by. Those we trust, and those we try to avoid. There's the new Danes, and those who've always been here. The people from the countryside, and those who've never seen a cow. The religious, and the self-confident. There are those we share something with, and those we don't share anything with.
Velkommen Jeg kommer til at stille jer nogle spørgsmål i dag. Nogle af dem kan godt være lidt personlige, men jeg håber, I vil svare ærligt på dem. Hvem herinde i rummet var klassens klovn? Hvem er bonusforældre?
And then suddenly, there's us. We who believe in life after death. We who've seen UFOs. And all of us who love to dance. We who've been bullied. And we who've bullied others. And then there's us, the lucky ones who've had sex this past week. We who are broken-hearted. We who are madly in love. We who feel lonely. We who are bisexual. And we who acknowledge the courage of others. We who have found the meaning of life. And we who have saved lives. And then there's all of us who just love Denmark. So maybe there's more that brings us together than we think. TV2 Denmark. All that we share.
This is a concept that has worked for us in this project. When you craft a story, do it together. You have been sharing together in interviews, story circles, through trees of life, etc. You have questioned the stories, looked for meaning in each other's stories together. You know much more by now of each other. If some of you need a personal story, either to present themselves in job interviews or in LinkedIn profiles, or want to set up a business. Do it together. You have these shared stories you have been witnessing. You know each other's strengths and qualities by now. Take a large sheet of paper and enough colored pens. Look at what you want to achieve first and put it on top of the sheet. Then start working upwards. Where are you now? What do you need? Who can help? What could be obstacles or adversaries? How and with whom can you tackle them? Define the necessary actions and look where the moment will be where the change sets in or the transformation takes place. Use illustrations. They can help in telling the story. On basis of that, write stories for yourself and each other, and let the person whose story it will be choose the story he or she thinks fits best to achieve his or her purpose. It could be the story he or she has crafted herself. It can also be the story someone else has crafted for him or her. Then try to tell that story in your own words until you have made it your story. Test it on a small audience first. You can do the same for your community. Work in small teams and share the chosen stories. You might find the story, but also more stories that can save your purpose and future actions. Good luck.